Hello everyone, this is GodzillaWolf1 and I'm back with another toy review, and today's review will be on Titan's Return, Titan Master, Loudmouth. And basically these are the individually packaged little Titan Masters that come with their own vehicles, or these tiny little vehicles that do quite a few things, and at my local Walmart these are $5 per figure, which honestly is not a bad deal for everything this does. That could vary, but to me they feel like they're a good deal. But let's get into the figure and say what that is. Basically, these are the inexpensive little replacement heads for your figure if you happen to lose the original or just want to change the look of them. And this guy's based off G1 Siren. They're all based off like G1 Headmasters or other G1 characters. For example, we've got Brawl. I think Grimlock, like it's named something different, but it's clearly meant to be Grimlock. And we've got a few other Headmasters like Ape Face, which is one I want to get a hold of when it comes out, because that's actually a really cool one. There's a few other reviews on it on YouTube at the moment, but that was a good one. But basically, these are their way of getting the other Titan Headmasters in there and kind of keeping the trademarks alive without having to make full-fledged figures, and I think these will really be good for customizers. Like, if you want to do a custom, you've already got a pre-made head. You just need to find a right body for it. Of course, some people might like the challenge of making a new head or finding the right head, but I think this could be good for those people that just want to find a headmaster that looks good and modify a body to fit it. Though there is one complaint I do have with this figure, that's not really the figure's fault. It's actually the marketing to a degree. Here's the box. As you can see, there's really nothing. Just Fortress Maximus's head, a picture of the toy. That's literally all there is to this packaging. They don't even tell you what the vehicle does. TJ Omega complained about this, and so am I. Now, you're probably asking, why is that a big complaint? Well, other than the fact the packaging looks bad, these guys are supposed to all have individual little powers they give the robot they combine with. For example, Hardhead here, his Titan Master gives him regenerative abilities, as you probably remember me saying in the original. If I didn't, I look like an idiot right now. But basically, his Titan Master allows him to regenerate. This little guy is supposed to give something called the Circuit Shock Disruptor, which disrupts enemies' systems, presumably with sound because he's based off G1 Siren, whose thing was sound. There's nothing about that on the box, and I think that's a misstep because kids would probably eat that up. Basically, you know, read on the box, ooh, this guy can give this toy a cool power. I'll imagine, you know, basically plug it in, imagination going wild, as kids tend to do. I have a feeling that was a misstep on Hasbro's part, because that could really have gotten kids more into these just with the imagination factor and the play value of that. But, for a collector that doesn't really matter unless you actually play with your toys, which some people probably do. I hope so anyway, because, no, I'd be awkward then. This is now awkward. Anyway, let's look at the figure. Nice little grill in the front, the red thing in the middle actually fits in rather nice. Like, yeah, it looks a little off, but it actually doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. Nicely molded sides here, ignore the back. Got a fin up there. Got the Autobot symbol and the little windscreen right there. He plugs in by the bottom of his feet on the bottom here. And this is basically meant to be a hover car, which actually does a pretty good job of. No wheels, obviously, because of how cheap this little figure is. But not bad, really. It works for what it's supposed to do, and he looks nice riding it. And that's really all I ask. If you really want to, and I will say I like that they molded it so that he could sit all the way back. That really is a nice feature, so he's not just always like, you know, that, despite having a giant face on his back. You can lean him all the way forward to make him look like he's holding onto something up there. But I prefer to have him back with his hands to the side like he's holding onto controls or something. But overall, not a bad little mode. And it also fits G1 Siren's color scheme in his vehicle mode, which was red and gray primarily. His robot mode was primarily blue. One of those figures that did that. And overall, not a bad figure. I mean, not a bad little mode, I should say. He actually does do more than that, and let's get him out of his little vehicle, which can be a little bit of a hassle due to how secure he surprisingly is once you get him in there. And let's take a look at his little Titan Master form here, which actually is not that bad. Like, he's got a little visor painted in. He actually has different chest molding than Hardhead's Titan Master, which is nice. Which I'm not sure if you can see due to my focus being a little screwed up right now. There you go, that's better. He's got a little more detail. His legs are even differently detailed than Hardhead's were, which is kind of nice. I'll cover his Headmaster form last. But basically, he also has these little guns molded into the sides of his arms. Let me see if I can get you a better look at that by doing that. There you go. Which I like. They have a different reason for being there in his robot mode. I mean, in his head mode. But overall, not bad. Has the same exact articulation. Arms move out a little bit, move up and down fully. Though he has trouble getting his arms all the way up due to how they're shaped. He also has trouble getting them out when they're all the way down at his side. As for leg articulation, same old, he can sit down. That's about it. But then again, you don't buy these for their articulation. And let's see if I can get him to stand up over here while we look at the rest of his vehicle mode and what it can do. Now, the thing with these is they're triple changers. So, for example, this one changes from a hover car. Also, I will say I really like how the Autobot symbol is done. It looks really striking on there. But you basically take the sides, fold them all the way over, like that. They snap in really securely. Like, these are nice and tight. And fold up this back here, which forms a tank barrel. Then you grab Loudmouth here, turn him into his head mode, essentially, which is the same as any other Titan Master. Fold the arms down to his sides, fold over the legs. Though I do find that his is very loose back here. Like, it's not loose to the point that I feel like it's unusable, but it is rather loose, and that might just be mine. And you're going to want to turn his head like this, at least on mine. I'm not sure if everyone's will be like this, but on mine, he doesn't want to go in if you do it like that. And he's got a little Headmaster port right there. Stick him in and fold it down, and you got his tank mode, which his legs form extra guns up here, which is kind of cool. And it doesn't roll or anything, but I like how different it is from his car mode. You can't really tell they're the same vehicle, at least unless you're really looking for it. And if you look at the back. And nice cannon on top. It has this, like, I guess this would be a scoop or a tank or kind of a bulldozer type thing on the front. It actually has guns and stuff molded into his sides, including missiles right there, tech detail. And even detailing on the sides here where they really didn't need to put it. Well, I guess they did, but I would have seen why they might have skipped it. And yeah, he is just kind of stuck there, but he does actually do a good job of looking like he belongs there. Now, as for his last mode, as I said, he was a triple changer. You fold out this handle back here, which is actually ratcheted, which is nice. And the instructions say to fold it up to the side like this, though the instructions are actually not that good about it. Let me show you really quickly here. As if you can see it, the instructions look like they want you to fold them all the way up, because the arrows go, well, all the way up to there, rather than being from up here to there. Which is kind of confusing, because the other sides do a fairly nice job of telling you how far things have to rotate. And then the final version looks like that. So it's a little confusing how exactly that works. But here we have his Target Master mode, which any 5mm port compatible figure can hold it, which is nice. And it looks like a little bit of a crossbow type weapon. And you can choose to fold them up like this. I feel it kind of looks better like that. I feel it looks a bit more like a gun that way. But let's keep it and another thing I found out that you can do, that I like to do anyway, is do like this, and it looks kind of like an axe or something. If you want to pretend it's a melee weapon, do what you want. It's your imagination, as TGMA likes to say. Seriously, I like some of the stuff that guy says. But basically, yeah, this is his Target Master mode, and if we grab Hardhead over here and bring him in, and bring up the camera, And this is a problem, but it might just be with my figure. This guy is kind of stubborn getting into hands. I don't know exactly why, but it is a little bit of a chore to get him into a hand. I think that's probably just mine because I've not heard anyone else complain about it. And there you have him as a gun, which actually he does a fairly nice job of being. Like, if you, especially from the side, he looks fairly nice as a weapon. I'm not complaining about this guy. He works for what he's supposed to do. Some of them do it better. Like, this is probably one of the better ones, but some of them do the Target Master mode a bit better than this guy does. But I don't mind. He is a bit heavy, though, at least for my hard head, because hard head tends to droop unless you do it just right. You can hold him, though, but you just have to be a little careful on how you do it, because he is a fairly heavy weapon. This isn't like hollow, easily destroyed plastic. But anyway, let's head into the last mode, which is the Titan Master mode. And let's prep Hardhead for this. And this is where you kind of have a little bit of fun with these. Is basically, I can put little Hardhead's Titan Master, I think Duros, if I remember correctly, back here in his little turret guy back here so he can man the gun. And then we take Loudmouth and take a good look at him. He's pretty cool, and I know some people are going to complain that there's not as much blue on this guy as they feel they should have. But this guy actually seems to be based off the Classics comic version of the character rather than the G1. Look up Siren on the TF Wiki, and the picture that they have for that version of him does look quite a bit like this. So that's probably where the design came from, but he has a pretty nice design. I like the expression. He looks very, I'm gonna mess you up. He kind of reminds me of the Terminator for some reason. Which may or may not be a good expression for Siren, who's all about being loud. But basically, pop him in there, he goes in fairly nicely. And there he goes. I think on Hardhead, he actually works fairly well, because Hardhead already has some gray on him. So, and he also has this red down here, and for the wheels on his legs, so it does actually work a little bit better. I think Brawn works best, but overall not bad. Has the same articulation as Hardhead's existing Headmaster, and this is why I like this. Not only do you get this little extra play value, you can now have 2 Titan Masters on him. Technically you can sport 3, because he still has the cockpit back here. And if you want to, in his tank mode, you can have him on places, and he looks fairly nice. So overall, what are my final thoughts on Loudmouth? I think it matters if you're into these spare little Titan Masters. If you're not, this guy's probably not going to change your mind. But if you're curious about them, they're $5, at least at my Walmart. You're not really risking that much. And I think for what you get, it's not that bad of a deal. And plus, this can still serve as a Target Master even if you got his head equipped. So, overall, if you think that you'll like this, I suggest picking it up. If you have a kid who's really imaginative, so long as you're not afraid of him swallowing the head, you might want to pick this up. If you're a customizer and like this head, you might actually get a kick out of this. I think this guy might go better with some of the Wave 2 releases, at least as far as customizing goes, but overall, he has my recommendation. If you are into these spare Titan Masters. If you're not, I don't think this guy's going to change your mind very much. Anyway, this has been Godzilla Wolf 1, and this has been my review of Titan's Return Titan Master Loudmouth. I hope you guys enjoyed this. See you guys next time. Bye! I still don't have a catchphrase.